Okay, so this is number 3 in the 10-part Young Horse Novice Rider series. Here, the young horse and novice rider learn to travel nice and smoothly and evenly through a related distance. There are a few warm-up exercises and routines you do before you get to the real thing, so you'll be fully prepared to canter around this exercise by the time you've gone through the warm-up routine. I've also added a gymnastic halfway through the track. This will teach you to balance your horse up and get it back on its hocks, as opposed to getting longer and faster as you go through the track. Okay, so here's the setup. It's a little tricky trying to fit everything in without the jumps getting in the way of the paths you need to ride. So lay the poles out first. Imagine the paths you're likely to ride, then make sure you can get a clear ride to and away from all the jumps. Once that's sorted, you can build the jumps. So let's start off with a line on the top long side of your arena. So it's a vertical to an oxer and they are spaced 17.5 paces apart for 4 strides. You then add the 4 placing poles 3.5 paces apart. And then you add the placing pole on the takeoff side of the vertical. This time it's 3 paces from the vertical. Then we do the gymnastic down the bottom long side of your arena. So it's a nice welcoming little cross, then 1 stride to another vertical and 2 strides to an oxer. So from the cross to the first vertical it's 7 paces for 1 stride, and then from the vertical to the oxer it's 11 paces for 2 strides. Then either side of the middle vertical you add a placing pole 3 paces away from it. Then diagonally across your arena you set up this line, vertical to oxer. You jump the line both ways, so make sure there's a ground line on both sides of each of these jumps. So it's a 4 stride related distance, so you set the jumps up 20 paces apart. Then the last jump is this oxer between the gymnastic and the line you just set up at an angle like this. And finally you squeeze in this little cavaletti line just below the first line you set up. It's a 5 stride related distance, so it paces out at 22 paces. And that's it, you're all set up and ready to go. Don't forget there's a link to a JPEG of the course plan in the description below, so you can set it up off your phone. So as usual, the warm-up routine involves cavaletti work. It's a related distance, so it will help you prepare you and your horse for the lines you'll be doing later. The aim is to get the cavaletti in the middle of the canter stride and do 5 even strides to the second cavaletti. Remember, a forward ride to the first usually requires you to wait to the second, and a waiting ride to the first usually requires you to ride to the second. So don't leave it to the last minute, get it done early. Once you're doing the 5 nicely, it's time to learn to compress your stride. So instead of doing 5 strides, you add a stride and do 6. There's a really good chance your horse will break into a trot while you're doing this. Just come and do it again, but this time keep your leg on. Compressing your horse's stride not only requires you to shorten from your hand, you need to use your legs as well to stop them trotting. So start off by just doing the line with the placing poles a few times. This will get your horse cantering nice and smoothly through the related distance. It will also give the novice rider a good idea of what pace is required for their horse to travel well through the related distance. This way, once you're doing the related distance without the placing poles, You'll know whether you're traveling too fast or too slow, and whether you need to slow down or speed up through the line. Once you're doing this well, you can do the full exercise. There's no rush to get to this stage. Take your time. It could take a few sessions until you're ready. It would also be a good idea to take the novice horse through the gymnastic on its own, really small, a few times before you do the whole exercise. Remember, when you're doing the full exercise, you will need to shorten your horse's stride for the approach to the gymnastic, or it'll get too short in there. Awesome, you made it to the end. So you're the type of person that'll really enjoy this channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and I'll keep the videos coming.